Anything you want to talk about in particular?
Who, me?
Yeah.
It can be whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Hotter than the friction of Birdman, rubbing hands, wind dry, I'm too fly, snap with force of rubber bands, used to roll my bills with the drop on my promo, get heard and spread the word so everybody know that, key beat to rap what key beat to lock is, walking through the door is my time like the clock gives, been through the hellstorm, fire and the rain too, disappointed by a lot of ops that never came through, folk riding coattails, dragging shit would drain you, wanna get me out my low and show you what my lane to do, my drive's like Danica, I burn it on the track and proceed to kill him soft with the soul of Roberta Flack. Always knew I do it big even with my short stature. Cause when it comes to bars, they huge as a linebacker. All this talk about who the best is non-factor. Cause I'ma have minds like digging for coal in Africa. Shine like diamonds, no conflict, it's harmony. Rapping with my queens like 11-4-33. Key beat to rap what key beat to lock is. Word to the reverb is slick, I'm about to rock this. Walking through the door is my time like the clock gives. Feel no pressure, I'm just here to give you dopeness. I'm my own competition, used to fret that I would have some. I'm focused on making my tracks better than the last one. It's me on production, consider myself a novice, but won't stop taking a crack at it like it's crawfish. Can't say it sucked though, my chop game Michelin. 5-star season, saute bitch, I'm sizzling. Hear me loud and clear, got no plans on fizzling. I spit the monsoon, never satisfied with drizzling. Key beat to rap what key beat to lock is. Word to the reverb is slick, I'm about to rock this. Walking through the door, it's my time like the clock gives. Feel no pressure, I'm just here to give you dope. Key beat to rap what key beat to lock is. Word to the reverb is slick, I'm about to rock this. Walking through the door, it's my time like the clock gives. Feeling no pressure, I'm just here to give you dope.
That is the perfect segue to the show. Peace and infinite blessings, family. I am BMa'at. Welcome to BMa'at Inc. This show was brought to you by Urban Style Comics. BMa'at Inc. A platform that was created to opportunity to connect you with the experts, legends to share strategies and life lessons to empower, strengthen, and maintain the African family nucleus from a Pan-African perspective. Today's date is July 11th. We always want to start out with some verbal libations to the hundreds of millions known and unknown. For those who struggle, sacrifice, and work on our behalf, for our benefit, we are the sum of your love, your efforts, and your support. On this time, we take a few minutes to highlight personal ancestors who helped us on this personal journey of knowledge of self. This show is dedicated to the spirit of Mary McLeod Bethune, who just celebrated her birthday. Was an American educated humanitarian, womanist, and civil rights activist, passionate and determined educator. She started out teaching children She started her own school in the yard, right? That's determined. Education, that means school could be anywhere. You know, it's not just set in a building. We could be educating our children anywhere and everywhere, and she was a perfect example of that. Our guest today, one of our guests today, is Brother Andre Betts. Peace, good brother. How are you?
Peace and blessings, brother. Real good, real good. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Happy to be here on this platform here.
Yes,
thanks for having me.
Glad to have you, brother. Grew up on the west side of Detroit. I'm a book lover since in a very young age. Self-taught artist. And he took a break, enjoy his childhood and pursue other passions. I'm not going to say what those other passions were. In his 20s, he started studying classical African culture and seeing a lack of representation of African Americans and decided to do something about it. He created dreadlocks in 1993 and released in 1996 and has been rolling them out ever since. He is a recipient of the Spirit of Detroit Award in 2017. My brother, my comrade on this mission for total African liberation and one half of the reason why I am a superhero I am today. Without his permission, I would not be able to do it. Without his creativity and his due diligence to create this character, I would not be here doing what I do and realizing that childhood um, fantasy and desire. I always wanted to be a superhero, but I never seen one that represented things that I wanted to represent, not alone look like me. He provided both. So thank you, good brother. How are you today?
I'm real good. I'm glad I was able to provide both of them to you. After all,
Yeah.
I didn't see myself in any of those images at all until, after a while I seen a few and that was it. So I had to take the mantle there.
Yes, sir. So I always like to start my question or start at the interview was who are you outside of this work?
Outside of this work, Andre Batch, actually this is basically everything for me. This is who I am. Basically applied a lot of my self-knowledge and any other information that I received outside into my character. But I'm just a humble individual. I just sit back, create. I love my animation. I love my television shows. I love everything about life in general. So that's who I am.
Okay, I gotta accept that, but I gotta ask. You know what I mean? Like, people when I always like to express the other. That's who I am. So I always try to put side information. Else. Second question: why do you? Why? So did this work choose you, or did you choose this work that you do?
I think it was a little bit of both. I will say that I chose to work. That's why I'm still doing it, 30 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But the vision, it came to me already. It was just there for me to be a part of it. It was something that I was already passionate about. As far as different stories that I was reading, as far as comics are concerned. Then I got into reading other information in textbook form. That I felt that work needed to be out there. So I chose that path or whatever because, I've seen some of the stories vaguely and some of the other characters that were out there. And I said, well, you know what? I think we need a character that actually represents us. And I'm a creator, artist. I can start designing these characters or whatever. And that's basically what I started doing. I started designing, creating, developing stories based on things that I've learned. So it was a little bit of both, me choosing it because it was a path that was already set out for me once I seen it, because everybody has a blueprint, in life. And this is part of my blueprint, and I chose to follow it.
Dope. So another question. A lot of people ask me this too when I do portray dreadlocks. Why dreadlocks?
I get to ask that question all the time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people ask me, did I have locks when I created dreadlocks? I tell them all the time, no. When I created dreadlocks, I didn't have locks. And it doesn't apply, to the hair, because a lot of people, tend to think that it applies to his hair. He gets his powers from his hair and all that nonsense, but that's not it, because it'll be easy for somebody to cut his hair and he no longer exists, right?
Right.
Needless to say, the reason why I created dreadlocks, because I knew that it was anti-establishment in the sense of the actual look or whatever. Because at that time when I created, dreadlocks, the average hero or superheroes that were out in comic form or even on television, most were, clean shaven, no mustache having, no beard, no goatee, none of that. So with that being said, this was my look or whatever. I was getting it. I had the goatee or whatever. Always had a goatee, but I didn't have the locks at the time. But me being one that was into the Rastafarian culture in the sense of the music, it's concerned roots reggae. Had a heavy influence on my imagination as well, because I get into a group, Steel Pulse.
Mm-hmm.
They had a song, Wild Goose Chase was the name of the song, to be exact. It says who shall save the human race. It's like part of the chorus in the song. And I was like, you know what? I know exactly who would save the human race. It would be the character Dreadlocks. And with that being said, people dread a certain look, right? So I figure, okay, I combine the two, Dreadlocks. They dread locks. They dread this individual because of the locks. He's not a mainstream looking character. So, but I notice nowadays I see a lot of cats producing characters with locks now, dreads or braids or whatever. But mind you, back when I created this character, they weren't out there then.
Right.
So the term dreadlocks is exactly that. They dread the locks. They dread the look. So therefore, they have to accept the punishment coming from this character.
Nice. And I think clearly put, because nowadays, now that we are in this enlightening state, they like dread why we refer to our dreadlocks. We refer to now as brothers and sisters. Do we continue to refer ourselves as dreadlocks, or refer to them as dreadlocks now that we are in this state, or do we just go with the term locks? I know a lot of people are going with the term locks to try to away from the dreadful aspect of it. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I still agree with the locks. I like to go with that term right there. You hear some Rastafarians, even them, they'll say dreadlocks or whatever, even in most of their music, or even when talking to one another. Thing of the matter, it's about locks. That's what it is. It's not the dreadlocks, because of what you said, the dreadfulness of the locks. And just like I stated in the mainstream characters being clean shaven versus an individual that's got locks and a goatee and a beard. My take on it is, if certain things haven't changed, why are we changing what we believe or what our understanding of things when nothing has been presented to us to make us see a difference in it, if that makes sense. If you haven't presented anything to me to show me why I shouldn't say dreadlocks anymore, or even say locks anymore, then I don't see why I should change it. It's just like somebody coming along, I'm gonna throw this out there, somebody coming along changing the term Christianity. What are you going to change it to unless you create something totally different out of the box, right? That's the only way you can change it, even though they have different denominations and all this kind of stuff in it. The fact of the matter is still Christianity, right?
Right.
Just like locks, they're still locks. They haven't changed. Now you have individuals out here that are doing the mainstream thing and what they're seeing on television and so on and so forth with the sister locks, brother locks, and all this kind of stuff. Now that's different, but once again, that taps into what I was saying a second ago about the different denominations of hair when it comes to locks. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah, because I was having a conversation with some youths, and I kind of yes, when I'm referring to you, and it's cool. Like, I want to keep the name dreadlocks because the system still is the same. Right. And if the people outside of us look at it as dreadful, I'm cool with that.
Right, exactly.
Even with my brothers and sisters, they call it dreadlocks. I don't get offended by it.
Right.
Somebody want to call it sacred locks, I'm cool with that. Somebody would just call them locks, I'm cool with that. But a lot of individuals do have this, like, if you call dreadlocks, they get highly offended.
Yes.
And it's crazy because we're still in a system where dreadlocks is still considered taboo.
Correct.
Even with mainstream and everything like this, you can't go into corporate office.
No.
They want you to keep it. They want you to keep it nice and neat. They want you to have bedroom locks. Long as you can't walk into the office and nothing like that.
No, this is one of the reasons why the character that I created him with that look because of that. Yeah. Because of everything that you just spoke of. Like I say, you can't walk into corporate America with the locks or whatever. Like the character dreadlocks. You can't do a lot of things with their hair being, with their crown being like the character Dreadlocks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, you know, it was purposely done to have this character look this way, because he's not part of the establishment. So if the people feel offended by the name, then obviously they're part of the establishment. And we don't know. Maybe, you know, they'll say they're not, but obviously you
Right.
are.
Right. Because there's a history behind it. I mean, when you talk about Maroons, if you talk about
exactly. Right. And I didn't even get into that. I didn't even get into the Maroons and the part they play in all this.
That's the energy that you're representing. At least you're supposed to be, right? Representing, right? Anyway. And so with that, I don't care what anybody calls them. I you know, I want you to feel that energy.
Right, exactly.
That rebellious energy, that I love my heritage energy, that I love my culture. Like as soon as you see this, as soon as you see me, you know what it's about. You know, if you see pretty else, you got a question. You're like, oh well, maybe he's part of this. That his hair is neat, but if you come in like this,
right. Well, you know, nowadays you have these artists out here with locks or whatever, so they've made it mainstream. They have no clue of the information that, you know, that's tying into locks. But yet still, it's like a fad now for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Just like, you know, being African. I mean, it's now cool. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I first started wearing dashikis and stuff like that. Oh, I was laughed at. Yeah, it was not cool at all. And now we're in a space after a Black Panther movie or things like that. The shift, and people are, oh man, I like that. Which is, I'm still cool with it. Yeah, they like, but it's like, for me, being African is not a subculture.
Well, you know, the thing of the matter, and speaking on that, we allowed our colonizers to dictate when we could accept culture and enjoy culture. Right. And especially when creating the movie Black Panther, which I did enjoy or whatever, but at the same time, I knew all the subplots as far as what's coming from the industries that created it. Right. And even to this day, and I had did a panel at this event that I was at this past weekend called Capital City Comic Con. That's one of the things I spoke on was how we keep allowing, you know, mainstream media, whites, whatever, who's ever behind it, to constantly dictate what we should like and dislike. We got characters out here, such as Dreadlocks, out here to represent true culture. You got Dreadlocks, Witch Doctor. We got all kind of characters out here that people just true to their understanding. You know, whereas they don't want that. We have allowed it with Wakanda Con. You know, we're going around doing this right here, Wakanda Forever. You know, I had some cats do that to me at the show. I was like, okay, all right. I went on and did it, you know, because that's all they know. Right. You know, so I went on and did it, you know, all respect. I'm not going to sit up and grab somebody by their neck and say, hey, you don't be going around doing that, because that's not my place or whatever. Right. Eventually, hopefully, these individuals will learn and realize that the agenda is deep. And the agenda is hitting them every day. And every time they wake up and they're constantly following what's been put out there by the people that's putting these agendas together, then it's on you.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of information out there now to where you don't have to succumb to that. You know what I mean? Like, in like your books, there's always some hidden jewels in there that you have to be initiated. And I have found that out being initiated in the Shrine of Ma'at. Okay. There's that has multiple meanings. And you can't see those things unless you're initiated, right?
Correct.
And so now I'm looking at things, and you was able to see the hidden messages, subliminal messages, negative subliminal messages in Black Panther.
Correct.
I did, but we was initiated because we did the work.
Right.
We did the studies, we did the research and things like that. So we were able to see things from our third vision, from a third eye. Well, from our first eye. We was able to see things from our first eye. And it just shows the importance of culture. I
Yes.
just did a podcast with the sister, Be Wisdom, and I'm doing this workshop with Racoma Kittens, and we had a conversation. Well, remember, she says that culture is the immune system of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
like that.
you think about that. It is so true because
Mm-hmm.
by us not practicing our culture on a daily basis, we are subject to these antigens called um, imperialism. We are
Right.
subject to out these alien antigens because we're not steeped in our culture. Where those things don't affect me because of the fact that my culture is strong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My
Right.
immune system is strong. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like they can say whatever they want to say. I'm not going to be shaken or stirred or anything because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like planted
Right.
in my culture.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us are not. And so I really appreciate your work because your work is edutainment.
Right. Well,
Right?
I think it was John Henry Clark, rest in peace, said um, that the culture, or even religion rather, is a deification of one's culture or
Mm-hmm,
whatever. And we're constantly deifying, European culture on a
mm-hmm,
consistent basis. So that's one of the reasons why in creating Dreadlocks, I wanted to be the total opposite and take out of their culture what they stolen out of ours. Just put it all in this character.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I like when you say that too. I like it in your bio. I didn't read the whole bio because I want to really get into this conversation. But in your bio, you were saying that you was noticing that a lot of the superheroes, the Supermans, and things like that was pulling from that ancient classic tradition
Mm-hmm.
and ordered down because they couldn't give us too much. Or
Right.
you those who know, those who don't know would dig deeper, and they will find out that Haru was the basis of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, we can even go into the word hero.
yeah,
Where it stems from, Heru. Or give them a Greek word. We can say horse for them.
mm-hmm,
If you say
mm-hmm,
horse, where does the horoscope comes from? Horoscope.
mm-hmm,
That's how you tell the time of the universe, or I should say, the tracking of the sun itself. But needless to say, I brought that up because why, when I've seen the characters such as Superman, Shazam, and all these kind of characters that they've created, uh, Professor X,
mm-hmm,
uh, Magneto, and so on and so forth, you'll see a lot of us in these characters. And the
mm-hmm,
thing is, a lot of us were never accepting of it coming from us, but we're accepting of it coming from, mainstream.
mm-hmm,
And the thing is, mainstream know more about us than we know about ourselves. And
exactly.
what they did was utilize that information and just, regurgitated it, differently. Well, regurgitation is all about once it comes out, it's a mess, right?
Mm-hmm,
When we got that, we picked it up and we assumed that this is what culture and this what these characters are about. These characters are powerful, so on and so forth. But then here we come along later creating characters to represent our true heritage,
mm-hmm,
and people aren't really accepting to it as fast. But then you have some that are accepting to it real fast because why? They're they're so-called awakened.
mm-hmm,
They're not asleep. They're not walking around daydreaming or anything. They know what's going on.
right.
Then you have those that are daydreaming. Then when you introduce them to, say, dreadlocks and let them read it, they start trying to figure it out. And what's going on here? It's something that I'm missing here. And I
Mm-hmm,
just have to tell them every time, read it again and again until you figure it out. And
yeah,
trust me, it will come to you.
yeah, because it's all in us. All that information,
Yes,
we just have to deprogram. First of all, we got to deprogram.
correct.
Get
And
it to come.
what better place to start deprogramming than to start with a young person with
Exactly.
the comics.
Exactly.
Or even adults that don't really read much. They read a comic in a minute and just it takes off in their brain, and it's like, oh, I need to, learn up on this information, look up this menu nature and so on and so forth. I need to learn about the Nata de Neteru and so on and so forth, see what this is all about. This sounds a lot like what I've been following, but I'm caught up in this Catholic Church, Yeah, it's a
And
lot.
that's the beauty of it, because like I said, like our ancestors knew that symbolisms it taps into the subconscious mind.
Yes.
It's worth 1,000 words. So like we'll see images in for whatever reason, it sparks up something in us to kind of spark that life learning, like the longing for learning. And I know that's what happened for me. And so our ancestors are, I can even find a word to talk about how brilliant they were and still are, because we are representation of our ancestors.
Exactly. We're offshoot. We continue.
And we continue. Legacy. Exactly. All right. So why green?
Well, green, I picked green for several reasons or whatever. I was at the show, like I bring the show up. I hate bringing it up because the show was okay for me. It wasn't that great. But needless to say, individuals come up to me talking about Green Lantern, blah, blah, blah. I have to tell them, pay attention. Look at the suit. Right. It doesn't look anything like Green Lantern. Are you serious?
Yeah.
There's no ring on there. It's an ankh there.
Right.
The ankh is shaped and cosmetically engineered into the suit. Now, I chose green because it represents several things. You got green for the land where we came from, the Africans. That's what it truly represents. Green also represents, Asar, of the underworld, the netherworld. That's what it truly represents. It's his coloring, agriculture, green of the land. This is what it represents for those that constantly want to talk about Green Lantern. That's what it truly represents.
Yes, sir. And a lot of times that's where they come to me, it's like, are you Green Lantern? I'm like, no. First point to the Ankh. We have a great conversation about the Ankh.
Right, exactly. You have to school them on it.
Yeah, and so that's always interesting. I'm going to be talking to you too. I'm looking at actually doing some giveaways.
Okay.
With that. I'm thinking about even like taking the whole Green Lantern thing and making some green Ankh rings just to give to the children so they can remember.
That would be dope.
Conversation that we had. And it's crazy. And that's why I dedicated this to Mary. She was instrumental in me as far as like becoming an educator.
Okay.
Because it was just like, you think about it, we always think about school, we equate that with buildings, we equate that with books, we equate that with we equate intelligence with books, we equate intelligence with the building and the chairs and the tables and stuff like that.
Right.
This sister was like, no, we don't need all that to teach our children.
No.
And it's just like, it's through that inspiration to where I didn't feel like I needed to be in an institution to teach our children. I didn't feel like we needed books to teach our children. They might be a good. They had their.
I think I had like 3 people bought books since we've been on here.
Awesome, and
I appreciate that. One love.
That's so through her example, I was just like, wow, like we can teach anywhere and everywhere, and we control the curriculum.
Right. Yeah. Well, our tradition has always been oral.
Yes.
Some years, we've never had books per se, reading out of books and all this kind of stuff as far as the African cultures, even some native cultures or whatever, been oral traditions. What has happened is we've allowed, going back in the past, our colonizers, slave masters to come in and dictate all that and direct us to, this is the only way you would become intelligent, is to learn it through a book, learn through our language, learn everything. This is what makes you smart. In actuality, we've accepted that as a whole. And the problem is the parents in some of these households, they haven't gravitated to oral traditions, and they can't gravitate to, written tradition as far as the books are concerned, because some of them, I hate to say this, they've gotten only so far as reading and comprehension. So they don't know how to teach their child or explain to their child, this is what I'm teaching you, but this is what it's all about orally. They're not leading by that example that kids or the youth need to see. You see these examples orally. They hear them orally. Once, they constantly put that information out like that to them, good information, and stop pumping out the agenda, we will be all right. But, that's why I've accepted books from, writers such as Dr. Ben, rest in peace, Mpadishi. There's a lot of writers out here, that I read their information, and I still read them to this day. And I'll pick the same books back up and read them again and again, because why? Just like with the comics or whatever, I'm always learning something new every time I read these books. And those type of books, I can accept that, because why? They went over to the motherland, stepped foot on it, went and studied the language. They understand it, so I can respect that. So therefore, I can read that information, but I can't really accept something coming from somebody who's enslaved me and accept that to be my truth. But a lot of us do that, and that's why the books have become so important in our community as well as other communities, saying that this is the only way you're going to get somewhere is through this book. And now they're finding out now that the United States isn't the most brightest country in the world, because you see how everybody's highly advanced in so many different angles, so many different things. Because why? They weren't advanced when they first enslaved. They was already barbaric when they came and got us. They were barbaric individuals. That hasn't been washed out of their bloodstream.
And it's all like, it's by design. Like, they don't need educated citizens.
No.
Like, they need people that work. They need people in prison.
Workers.
That, they need people that don't question authority. They don't need workers. They want robots, and that's what they're producing now. Producing robots. So
the Matrix has always been around since slavery.
And so that's why, in anything they need, they get imported, because it's cheaper labor. It don't cost them much. And you think about it. I mean, like, not get off topic, but you bring up a really good point when you talk about the educational system. When you paying prisoners 10 cents an hour to do what you was paying somebody 42 hours to do, benefit, medical care, all the perks, all the benefits, 401ks and everything else. Now you don't have to pay that person no more. You got another person that you paying them 10 cents an hour. Right. So you're saving a shitload of money.
Yes.
You got to worry about the infrastructure. You ain't got to worry about electricity bills. You ain't got to worry about none of that other stuff.
Right.
That's what the U.S. is about. And so that's why the prison population is blowing up. That's why it's like, you get a bag of weed, you get 25 years. You know what I mean? Like,
a private prison system been set up like that. And if you notice all the laws that they put in place to so-called reform the prison system, none of it touches the private prison complex at all.
And I go inside the prisons, I talk to prisons, man. You see, there's no libraries in the prisons no more.
Well, they did say they were taking them out maybe 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, you know why?
Reading,
like beating their cases.
Exactly.
Wait a minute, this is fraud. I mean, like, jailhouse lawyers that was freeing other people because they was like, hold up, this reading this book? Oh, hold on. They say, all right, we want you to exercise. We want you to eat, and that's it. Exercise, eat, and sleep. That's all we want you to do.
We really don't want you to exercise.
No, I mean, be strong enough to do the work that we need you to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. You know what I mean? So, strong and dumb. You know what I mean? Like, all right, so get back. Let me get back. Cause I could go on a whole tangent about that. I really wanted to stay rooted in this conversation
Okay.
because
I'm
the
sorry for
education,
taking you elsewhere.
huh?
I said I'm sorry for taking you elsewhere.
No, that's good. That's great because it emphasizes the importance of what we're doing, right? It emphasizes the fact that what we're doing is uh, so liberating.
Hmm.
It's so important that we're getting our children at a younger age to become literate.
Hmm.
We teach them that the imagination, we increasing nurturing the imagination.
Uh-huh.
We're showing them, we're raising self-esteem by giving them images that look like them. We're giving them lessons in being a great character. So it's so many things that we're providing for them. So I just wanted that gel thing was the perfect segue into why why what we're doing is so important.
Right.
So talk about from, did you expect when you wrote comic books, did you expect the success that you're having?
Actually, no, I didn't expect it because once again, we were dealing with everyone being used to the clean cut thing, and comics weren't really something that was really heard of in our community or whatever. That was really a big thing. We had a couple of books that were out that basically touched our community, which was like Brother Man.
Mm-hmm.
That touched the community through Shrine of the Shrine of the Black Madonna,
Mm-hmm.
big bookstore here in Detroit. And I collected all those back then. I think it was 10 editions at the time. That was big. And at Neo Press they had a character called Heru. That was big. But once again, these books I picked up at the Shrine of the Black Madonna. You had Original Man, which was another book. These were the cats that came like right before me, and I could find their books in bookstores that was in the hood. Basically, I should say it like that. So when I seen that, I was like, it's got to be a niche for me or whatever
Mm-hmm.
as well. And me, my partner Khalil Kevin Hallman, and a few other individuals, we all sat down and got together, and we created the universe as far as urban style comics is concerned. Everybody brought their own characters to the table or whatever, and we said we was going to make this happen. Everybody didn't stick around. Everybody couldn't stick around for whatever reason, personal or whatever they ended up having to do, job related, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my friend Khalil, which is more like my brother or whatever, me and him, we just went on and took dreadlocks, and we had a group called Emoja that he created, and Sachiko, which he created, and we took them on the road of the Black Expos because what's his name? This brother named Alfonso Washington, who did Original Man. One of the things I had read up on him was this is a way that he had became successful was going through the Black Expos and festivals and things of that nature, and this is how he had became successful with his comics, as well as Brother Dawood. And when I read up on them, and I was like, well, this is what they're doing, so this is what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So the first step was going to whatever was going on in my city, Detroit, anything that was Black, African-centered related, boom, I tried to be there. And I was bringing my books out. Wasn't very much to them. They were black and white, drawn out. It was, basically half-assed. I didn't know. I thought, that this is the way the comic's supposed to look going to the printer or press. But I noticed that a lot of people were like, wow, this is really cool. I've never seen Black comics before. Oh man, I got to get 2, 3. I got to get my kids this. And once I seen that, I had started hitting different Black expos, basically where I could reach, which was Indiana Black Expo. We had Chicago Black Expo. We had a Detroit Black Expo at the time. So it was real big in that market. So eventually I started doing comic book conventions. And when we started with the comic book conventions, it was one here in Southeast Michigan, the Motor City Comic Con. it wasn't as it wasn't the same. The
Mm-hmm.
vibe was different. The brothers and sisters that were coming to the event, they were walking by the table and just kept walking by, and it seemed like they would stop at the table once they seen the Europeans at our table trying, because the Europeans, they're like, I'm trying to figure out what's going on over here.
Mm-hmm.
So the brothers and sisters, when they seen that, they started coming over there. But when they weren't there, they were walking by just like everybody else. So I figured at that point, the comic book convention itself is not really my lane,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up doing. We ended up doing a comic book convention because I kept pushing because that's just the type of person I am. We ended up doing San Diego Comic Con, which was a success. We got to San Diego Comic Con. We had a lot of books or whatever. But the thing was, when I got there, I went there for what they call the opening night. I didn't think it was going to be a night to make sales or whatever. But I went out there and I sold out of a whole like 150 books,
Oh wow.
in one night. And I couldn't believe it. This was like a Thursday night. The show really didn't start until Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Wow.
So my printer, fortunately, they were on the West Coast at the time. They were able to get me some books out the next day, even though I had to pay an arm and a leg for it. But needless to say, I got it, and they was moving like hotcakes. So San Diego Comic Con had put me in another mindset of comic book conventions. So I was successful there, and then I eventually, found my way out to the East Coast when I did a Wizard World Con, which was located in Philadelphia at the Convention Center down there on Market Street. I think they had just built it up. I'm not for sure what happened, but needless to say, that was my first convention on the East Coast. Was there. It was cool, but at the same time, I had a brother that came to me while I was at the show. He had heard about me because at this time we had a website, and he had told me. He said, "Hey man, you should check out this black comic book convention right here in Philly." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be more than happy to check it out because that's basically what I wanted. That's my market there."
Mm-hmm.
Blah blah. His name, Stacy, brother Stacy. He told me. He said, he told me where it was. It was on Broad Street at Temple University. And mind you, I knew how Philadelphia, was because why? I was stationed there when I was in the Navy, so I knew my way around Philadelphia, so it was easy for me to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I told my friend Khalil and Chris they could stay at the Wizard World Comic Con, and I'm going to go down here and check out this event called East Coast Black Age of Comics. So went on and drove down to Temple University, got in there. The brother that let me in, brother Yumy, he was the one that was putting it together, and I came on in, set up shop or whatever, and I ended up getting on the panel just out of nowhere. They didn't know me from Adam, but they was more than happy to have me there. So I didn't pay for anything. They just let me set up shop. They let me get on the panel, and after that, it was history.
Wow.
Because then I came back my way. Now more people were knowing about dreadlocks now because the website was just consistent as far as we never took the website down, so we was constantly getting hits every time people were looking for black comics or black superheroes. Guess what? Urban Style Comics website always popped up because why we were one of the more popular individuals out back then, selling books like hotcakes. So we ended up in Chicago, which I'd already did Chicago before with the festival or whatever. But we ended up doing a comic book convention out there, and it was a difference than it was here. But it still was not my lane, So the Black Age, it started in Chicago. So the brother that put it together, brother Turtel only, I ended up meeting him at one of the African Center festivals that was in Washington Park in Chicago. And he told me about his event, and he had been doing it since 1993. This is long before the East Coast Black Age of Comics. And mind you, I heard about, black comic book conventions, but nobody ever knew when and where and all this kind of information. So I made it to his. I think it was maybe his 10th year when I made it to his. I made it to the East Coast Black Age, which was their first year, and I have been there ever since. And anytime Chicago put theirs on, I'm there. But ever since that happened, it was what we call a blessing, not in disguise, because I came there, wide open with what I'm doing. It wasn't in
Right.
disguise. I came there like, boom, this is what I do, comics, boom. And they're hardcore. It's none of that, this is not a Marvel, DC writing type information, none of that stuff. This is not your typical superhero. This is basically a superhero that represents you, truly represent you, not just some hood shit, excuse the language. Nothing is coming out of the hood or whatever, urban, even though my company's called Urban Style Comics, it's not an urban lit type character. Right. So,
right.
I came with something different with the information I was learning that I've learned. It just brought it to the forefront. And after that, it hasn't came down at all.
Nice. And that's one of the things that like drew me towards first Yumy was like, yo, you look like this character dreadlocks. I'm like, yeah, right. And we doing a Rites of Passage program, and he's like, brother, you really need me to check out dreadlocks. You look like this dreadlocks. And I'm like, all right, whatever, this is the second time. So then we did the graduation for the Rites of Passage for the students or whatever. And he was like, did you ever check out the dreadlocks? And this is the third time. And I'm like, all right, let me check this dude out, right? So I go on the website, and I'm like, whoa, okay, I see this resemblance. But then I seen the and I was like, wow. Wow, now I'm not, got the height. I'm not 200 plus pounds. You know what I mean? But the likeness, I got the hair, I got the likeness. He represents the same thing that represents his purpose, and mine are in the same. I mean, the upliftment of our people, to reinsert the principles of Ma'at into our people. Everything that I am, he was. And so, and everything I want to become, he is that. And so it was just a natural fit. And then, dang, all right, let me call the brother and let me see if he got somebody playing him. Like, oh no, I ain't got no plans. I'll be honest. I'm like, whoa, all right.
That was it.
That was it. And like I said to a lot of people, for me to take my activism, because I'm an activist, right? First and foremost, I'm an activist. To be able to take my activism to the level that it is now was solely based off your character. And it was just, I was able to take my activism not just for family and for youth. And at that time I was working with youth from like 7, wasn't even 7, it was like maybe 10 to like 17, something like that. And now with this character, I'm ready. I'm hitting them at, 1 and 2. I'm having an impact at 1 and 2 now.
That's good. That's good.
And I never thought. I thought that I was just gonna go to this Comic-Con or whatever and just show up as a character, take some pictures, and be like, all right, that was cool. That was great. And the demand became so high, the request became so much, and I was like, damn.
Right.
The hunger is there. All you have to do
is it is. And the thing is, the character was already established, and then you come around and you come as the character Dreadlocks. It's just everybody is just like in awe, and the next thing you don't have any time to sit down. You know that because when we were in New York, we did the show, the Black Comic Book Festival. You didn't have a chance to sit back at all.
I did I did like 3 interviews. I did like 3 interviews, 2 on television. The other it was crazy. Then I got a request to come back, and it was just like That's crazy.
Right.
I never imagined that it would take on this kind of life of its own, to where now creating curriculum based off the character, and it
Hmm.
talks about the attributes, the great attributes of being a good human being.
Right. Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, not a good black person,
Hmm.
not a good,
Good
you know what I
human
mean?
being. Correct.
A good human being. He
That's what
instilled
it's about.
characteristics to make you a good human being, and these characteristics are in you, but you have to
Correct.
fit.
They
You have
have to
to.
find them.
You have to exercise. You have to.
Exactly.
You have to do. You know what I mean? So you bring in all these life lessons into this character. You know what I mean? And so I was able to infuse everything that is great about our people.
Hmm.
Everything that is great about the best of who we are is in this character,
Yes, sir.
and it's in you as well.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's you are attracted to the character, and this is what you need to do to become like this character,
Hmm.
to be your own superhero in your own life.
Correct.
Hey,
That's what we need.
you know what I
We need to
mean?
understand that. Those are facts right there.
And
100.
to be able to participate in this has been life altering. It's been the ultimate blessing. It's part of my legacy, bro. And again, I appreciate you so much. Um,
Well,
for
I appreciate you bringing life to the character Dreadlocks. I appreciate that 100 times 100. The thing about it, it basically brought out another fan base
Mhm,
uh, into the character.
mhm,
You have what that was already there, and then all of a sudden now when people actually see of someone actually playing the character out,
mhm,
they see, wow, this is something that I really need to put my money into, or I need to really try to help this go further than where
mhm,
it is. Whether
mhm,
it's promotional purposes, whether you're talking about it, whether you got pictures to show people, doesn't
mhm,
make any difference. The more that it's out there, the more powerful that it becomes.
mhm. Exactly. And this is the hero that we need. I mean, like,
Correct.
and I'm not just speaking about it. Well, I guess I am. I am kind of biased, but it's but it's
I know I
but you think about it though, it's a Pan African hero who
am.
acknowledges the gods of Africa.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, and he's blind, so he can't be influenced by the visual world.
No, not at all.
You can't get more of a pure um example of the best of humanity than that.
And
You know what I'm saying?
that's and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really the main reason why I made him blind in the first place, because of
Exactly.
everything that's going on around us is basically what influences us.
Exactly.
Whether it's negative or positive, mostly negative, he
Hmm.
can't be privy to sight in that sense. And that's why I made it a point to make sure that he was blind, so he would be guided by, the gods of Kemet, you know, guided
Alone.
exactly. And
Alone.
that right there will, he operates strictly off the vibration of energy of others, because he knows what he's getting ready to face.
Hmm.
Because of that, he knows what he's dealing with. He knows what type of energy is coming to him. He knows what he doesn't know, if the person is what color they are, anything like that.
Right.
If you
Right.
notice in any of my books, I don't even mention anything about color.
Right. You don't have to.
Don't have
Yep.
to. He can't see it.
Right.
But see,
Exactly.
people will come to a show. I will throw this out there. Let's say a comic book convention. They see this black character. They don't even know the concept behind it.
Hmm.
They just think, well, he just rough looking, blah blah. I wanted him to be rough looking, no doubt. But some people actually come to the table, whether they're white, whatever, Hispanic, even black, whatever. And once I explain the fact that he's blind, and I really get into the details of all that, they want to buy it right away just
Yeah.
because of that alone.
Yeah. It's a great point. I mean, like I said, it's about humanity. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We deal with racism, we deal with these things. We deal with these social systems and the social networking. But I'm concentrated, I'm focused on being the best human being I could possibly be.
Mm-hmm. And
I
that's
mean,
what we all should be doing.
and that's what everybody should be about.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should be about being the best human being, not being the best black person, not
Right.
the best white person,
Right.
no, the best human being that you can be, and be accepting of the diversity. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's what makes us unique. It don't make us good or bad. It's just
Not at
what
all.
makes us unique. And so these are the lessons. These are the life lessons that when I do have a sit down conversation about dreadlocks, these are the conversations we have. But they have to get over their own bias.
Right.
To get over their own ignorance. They have to be open. Because we did the love part thing, there was a exchange because I always represent the black, red, black, and green.
Mm-hmm.
And we was in Love Park, so who mostly are down Love Park.
Right.
So we had a conversation. There was a white lady, older white lady, and she had the courage to come over and ask, do you hate white people? And I was like, I said, what gives you that impression?
Right.
And she was like, well, you got that color, you got that flag, and that flag, to me represents hating white people. And I'm like, who told you that?
Right.
And she was like, well, nobody. I just, I associate that with Malcolm X. I associate that with Marcus Garvey. I associate that with Khalid Muhammad. I associate that. And I'm like, wow.
She knew all them names.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't know them names.
I said, well, for me, it represents my culture. It represents my pride. It represents self-determination.
Mm-hmm.
It represents everything that is near and great about us.
You're right. Correct.
Just because I wave this don't mean that I hate white people. Just because I'm pro-black don't mean that I hate white. Now, you might be and we was having a real conversation. I said, I might be coming from that lens because that maybe that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
No. I'm like, well, why would you
try to push it off on you?
Why would you immediately address that as that? I don't see anybody waving the red, white, and blue flag. I don't come to them saying that you hate black people.
Right.
I don't. Even though the history behind the stuff that y'all documented the lynchings and the hangings, because we ain't had cameras.
Well, let them tell it that all that's false narratives or false lies. Those are lies, basically.
And like, y'all documented y'all savagery. Y'all documented. So you can't sit there and say that we did things. Y'all documented it. Y'all took pictures next to burnt bodies. Y'all took pictures with your children. Y'all took those pictures, not us. So y'all documented y'all savagery. I can easily say, fuck that American flag. I can easily say that and be justified saying it.
Correct.
Right? And be justified saying it. But no, I think you're proud to be American. You're welcome to do that. And then we can have a conversation. Mm-hmm. So, and we hugged after the fact, right?
Okay.
Because it's just like, this is what I'm about. I'm about building bridges, right? Building bridges of understanding. Somebody has to. You know what I mean? Like somebody have to be the bridge builder. Because every black person is not, heaven sent. And every white person is not, devils.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
But you definitely got to prove that you're not. My first, you know what I mean? I'm not by faith. I'm not. You're gonna have to prove to me that you're not a devil.
Yes.
And that's based off y'all. That's based off y'all history. Y'all documented that. But it was a great conversation, though, and I congratulate her for having our guts to come over and ask those questions. Because most people walk past like, oh, they hate white guys,
be shaking and scared,
right? Mm-hmm. And not have that exchange and have that level of understanding. Like, oh wow. So now next time she see the flag, she's not going to associate it with hating white people.
No, she shouldn't.
That's a great thing. And I think that's a great thing. So add the in there.
No, I agree. It is.
So let me ask you a question. Do you consider your work a political stance or cultural revolution?
Well, I don't get into politics or whatever. So
Mhm.
politics may come into my stories here and there. I got a story that I'm working on now. That his brother from prison that did whatever. I'm working on it with him. I'm continuing it for him, and it takes a political stance to some degree in the sense of police violence and so on and so forth, or the murders, that's been taking place, such as the one that just recently took place, 90 shots, 60 in the body. This doesn't make sense. So needless to say, I don't really get into politics, but it may come into my stories at times because it actually builds for better stories to some degree.
Mhm.
But I don't get into that because that's something that we see every day on television.
Mhm.
I'm really tired of seeing that all the time on so I don't feel that I need to put that in the book or the comic for people to know what's going on as far as that's concerned.
Mhm.
Now your other question, it was what was it, revolutionary? What was it,
The
cultural
cultural-
revolutionary? And to tap in on that, I think I would be considered more so that, more
Mhm.
so than anything, because to be a quote cultural revolutionary is to be somewhat different than the actual culture that you've been following all this time. And the culture that you've been a part of all this time since you've been talking, walking, sleeping, eating, watching Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes, all that good stuff. You were being culturally indoctrinated. So a revolution is to break yourself free from what you've been indoctrinated into. So in the character Dreadlocks, that's basically what he is. He is a revolutionary character. Uh, and a lot of people, they respect that. Some don't respect it because they coined the term revolution to something meaning something negative. Everything good that have quote unquote taken place in this society and any other society has been solely based on a revolution. And with the character Dreadlocks, we first off starting off with the revolution of the mind first. That's where the revolution first starts, right in the mind. Once we revolutionize that aspect and clear our brains, because we have to have this chaos in order to come into peace, that's the only aspect of a revolution that I deal with when it comes to my character. But I don't have any like scenes where we're overthrowing governments or anything like that, because that's not what a revolution is all about. True revolution starts from within, and that's basically how I approach it. Now, in some of my future books, I do have some revolutionary situations that take place, physical revolutions, because of what transpires. I'm not going to give any of that away, but it's going to be truly hardcore when you read these books. But needless to say, it's kind of taking dreadlocks back to when I first started doing dreadlocks to some degree, But at the same time, cultural revolution, all that starts from within. And that's what it's about with the character.
I agree. Um, I agree wholeheartedly. That was a nice little teaser. I like that. That was a nice little. I ain't gonna say much, but I'm gonna just drop this little bit in there real fast.
Oh, yeah.
But I do. I think um, I look at everything that I do as a political statement, and it's not of my choosing. I'm just living my culture, but the outside world will look at it as a political statement, and I embrace that. I mean, like I have a cultural responsibility. I have an obligation
Mm,
to give truth to my people.
right.
Most people look at that as a political statement because um, the truth is not. The truth is frowned upon.
Hmm.
Because the truth, it crumbles everything else. It crumbles the illusion, and people like the illusion. The illusion is comfortable. The
Yes,
illusion is.
sir.
But when you start spitting that truth, once you hear the truth, you can no longer say that I never heard that before.
Hmm.
You can no longer say that uh, ignorance exists. When you hear the truth, you're now obligated to embark on that truth and take it further.
Correct.
And it's an obligation. I don't look at it as an obligation and a privilege. to carry on the work of my ancestors.
Correct.
I mean, and so um, when I go on stage and the words I choose to spit or converse with my people, it's gotta be positive. It gotta be life affirming.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I do is a tribute. Everything that I do is a tribute to the one that came before us.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So I have to. Yeah, I mean, I can't go out here spitting about diamonds and gold and
Right.
keeping all the women and all that good stuff. I can't. This is a blessing for us to be here in this physical realm, doing the things that we're doing. Is a blessing.
Yes, sir.
I do not take that lightly. So
I don't either.
yeah, that's why I ask those questions, because I think you do, and I love your humble response. But I know you don't gear it to. I know you don't gear it to be political.
No.
But a lot of people look at what
They look at it because, once again, when we go back into the early parts of this conversation, the fact that he doesn't have that clean cut look, he doesn't represent mainstream as far as the actual look. So that's what makes him a revolutionary character in that sense, because what they see in their eye with their eyes. They see that revolution, scary, blah blah. Back in the early '90s when we first came out, with dreadlocks, when I first started doing it, oh yeah, they were really scared.
Oh yeah,
people that looked like me, they were like, what the heck? Because that was during the time of Public Enemy, X Clan, and Paris, Gorilla Funk, all that was dropping hard. That information that they were dropping as far as the music was concerned, it had the people worried, had them scared, even those that look like us. So in creating dreadlocks, he just was a passion, became a passion. He was a passion prior to me actually doing it. And once I started, he remained a passion 30 years later, almost 30 years later now. And I'm happy to, I love doing dreadlocks. I love, the way, the people react, kids react. I love all that, I love constructive criticism. I love, when people misconstrue the characters as far as their understanding, so that I can actually, correct them and get them on the right path of what he's all about, and not with this nonsense or whatever. So I'm good with that. I take it just like that.
Did you think they was going to have the impact that they were having on children?
To be honest, no, I didn't think that. I didn't think it was going to have an impact like that at all. But when I went to a few schools that I was invited to, as far as like for a career day and so on and so forth, and the way that the kids would react to what I was doing as far as dreadlocks is concerned, it's like they were amazed. And at that point, that's when I kind of seen at that time, okay, I am doing something really good here, something positive, just because of their reaction alone. Once I seen it, I was like, oh, I'm going to keep this going for a long time. This is not going to stop. Not that I'm trying to establish something like a Peter Piper or nothing like that. Just the fact that they see it, they love it, they want to be a part of it, they want to go out here and become creatives themselves. I've met a lot of individuals through my years of doing urban style comics that have told me themselves, I was reading your book when I was, 8 years old, 9 years old. These cats are like 20 plus now, still reading dreadlocks. And they will also talk about how some of them, they're also creating their own content now, because of the fact that they were influenced by dreadlocks when they were kids. They're creating their own content. They're motivated to stay focused on doing what they do, because the thing of the matter, when people see that I'm still doing this, and they've been seeing me since they were kids, they know that they can do it.
Right.
There's no reason why they can't do it. so many different avenues now that makes it so much easier for some of these young cats that's coming up to do it. It's just there. I don't follow a lot of those processes or whatever, but needless to say, it's out there for them now, and everybody's focused on their craft and content now, and that's a good thing.
That's a wonderful thing. I mean, to be able to keep our story going, and they are a Sankofa. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Kofa, and
that's what they need.
Yeah, and so it's pretty dope to be part of that process, man. I believe I made my mark, bro. Not saying that I'm going to stop, but I can pass right now. Be really satisfied about the things that I've done and accomplished and contribute to the benefit of my people, and it's a very fulfilling feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there is a heaven or whatever the case may be, I think I'll go. You know what I mean? Like, I think, when I go to go be judged by, her and my aunt and the hoodie, you know what I mean? Like, being judged by those Netta rules, I'll go into the next room. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you already know that you're already in heaven right now because the earth is already floating around in the heavens.
Yeah.
In that sense or whatever, because, Killer Priest, he dropped it on one of his, I think it was his first CD, Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth. He said, why should I have to die to go to heaven when the earth is already in space? A difficult task I had to embrace.
Yeah. It's still a judgment that takes place.
Yes.
I mean, it's still a judgment that takes place, and I want to be on the right side of it.
Yes, you do. No doubt.
I feel like...
But do know you are on the right path right now. You're doing your studies or whatever, meditate.
Yes.
Get your energies together, get them right. Oh, you're on the right path. Your judgment is taking place right now.
Yes. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. We are slowly winding down. I could go with this all day. This has been This has been a great exchange. Did you ever hear of the Kenneth Clark doll experiment of 1939?
You say Kenneth Clark?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. The name doesn't really ring a bell right offhand.
All right, so it was an experiment done in 1939 where he had the children sitting there and had a white doll there and a black doll, and they went through.
But go ahead.
So they went through a series of questions: which one is good, which one is bad, which one you think is ugly, which one you think is beautiful, and and I just wanted to bring that up because you have put a huge dent in that. You know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure when if they do the test again, it'll be a little bit more equal. As
more balance. Correct.
Yeah, a little bit more balance. A little bit more BMa'at than when they did it then. I know they did a more recent one. It's been improved. It's been improving through the years. But, I just want to give you kudos, bro.
I appreciate it. One love. Appreciate that.
This is heartfelt because I was once like that. I was once that child who thought white was right, even though I was black.
Right. We all were like that.
Yeah, I did not like what I seen in the mirror. I did not like my hair. I did not like my clothes.
I want to cut you off or whatever. Have you ever, you may have read it before, the Nile Valley Contribution to Western Civilization by Anthony G. Broidy?
Yes.
You remember an image that he used inside the book where he had the little black kid looking in the mirror and he's seen this white Superman-looking character?
Yeah.
That's what we all were going through. I don't think it was just you, myself. I think everybody, because we've been indoctrinated from day one. Think about it. Everything you see on television, you've been indoctrinated. I kind of brought this up in my panel the other day when I spoke on the Looney Tunes, right? I'll throw this out there because I spoke on the character that didn't have his mind right as far as schemes and everything together. His beak would get slapped behind his head, slapped off. Daffy Duck was the black duck on the black duck on the Looney Tunes. Yet still, he was never heroic. Nothing
Nope.
good about him whatsoever. Always was trying to scheme the system some type of way. Never
Right.
successful. But
Right.
but this started, when we were young. Everything that's been fed to us through the television or whatever, everything that's been fed to us makes us despise ourselves. We have to eventually grow out of that and want to accept that it makes us despise ourselves and start realizing what makes me feel great about myself now. Besides looking at what's being exposed on television, that's nonsense. But a lot of people ain't ready for it though. And to this day, I've been doing dreadlocks for almost 30 years, and they still sleep on it.
Yeah, it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Right.
And a lot of people come with that responsibility because now you got to speak up for yourself. You
Correct.
can't no longer be a victim. Once you had these, you can't play the victim role.
No, but now you have social media now where, even if you did speak for yourself, you still got those that look like you on social media trying to bring you down.
Oh, no doubt.
And then you got the robots too on here, the bots that's on here too. So we got both of those.
But that's the test, though.
Yes, it is.
That's to see if you're really implementing and really about what you say you are.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can say anything, and if it throws you off your square, then you got a lot more work to do.
A whole lot of work.
I
love it when they come my way.
Yeah, I love it. Like I search for it. Because it makes me sharper.
Correct.
Anything you throw at me and I don't know and I can't understand, I'm like, you know what? You got me this time. I'm gonna come back.
Or you can just point them to the right direction.
Yeah. Give me a couple of weeks. I'll be better with this in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? So I welcome that kind of exchange. As I could say. But yeah, just have witness. I got girls. I have 5 children. 2 boys and 3 girls, right? They're biologically mine, but I'm like raising a lot of others. And to be able to say that my children don't have to go through that is huge. You know what I mean? Like, they love their hair. They love being black. Sometimes they get super aggressive. They tell white people, I'm like, listen, all right, pull it back a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I understand. They read the books. I get on an extensive library. We watch all the movies, and so they have some feelings towards white folks.
Okay.
As long as you don't stay there, that's what I tell them. I tell them you need that. You need to go through that phase in your life because that what happened to us was extremely inhumane.
Correct.
Extremely wrong, and so you have to go through that process where you have to hate white folks for a minute. But just don't stay there because then it becomes a cancerous.
It's eat you up.
Eat you up, and so I love it. I love to see them go through the different levels of growth. I'm grateful that I'm able to sit with them and have these conversations with them. Because it just gives a balanced approach. It's all about balance.
That's what they need. Well, you know how one of the things about Ma'at is dealing with chaos first.
Yes.
You have to bring that order when you're dealing with the aspect of hate and despising and disliking. That's all part of the chaos sphere.
Exactly.
So in order to bring balance, like you say, you have to get out of that. That's one of the purposes of dreadlocks in itself. The character represents, he's the embodiment of that. Have to change this chaos into something else. Yeah.
Bring order to it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because as long as it stays chaos, it's never going to be productive.
Right. It's never going to be productive. And that's why, when you get into the television quite a bit, going to be in a chaotic world consistently.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, it's, talk about some of the other characters. I know we talked about Dreadlocks. We spent almost an hour and a half on Dreadlocks. Because that's a fan favorite of mine. But you have other characters as well. spend a little time thinking about them.
But we have Black Watch, which is my superhero group, which consists of Queen Nubia, Mizraim, Bragamuff, Third Eye, and Veron is like the master teacher of the whole universe as far as dreadlocks and Black Watch is concerned. I also have Jihad AD 2166, which is a post-apocalyptic science fiction character that I designed and created. Now his storyline deals with more of a quote-unquote New World Order Illuminati type actually existing in the future, though. They basically destroyed the world as we know it, and now people are living under their order. He doesn't know who he is. He's basically a person that's, he lost his memory through time or whatever. He was around during 1992, but he ended up being cryogenically frozen and woke up the year 2166. His name is actually Johnny Lucas, which is my uncle's, one of my ancestors, my uncle. That's his name, and I named my character Johnny Lucas. But the people in the future, they call him Jihad. That's what they call him. He doesn't know his real name. He's just accepting that this new name that everybody's calling him, that's what his name is going to be from this point on. As far as Black Watch is concerned, they're my futuristic group. And they more or less are like time travelers. When we're dealing with my character Dreadlocks, you're dealing with a character that can't be everywhere all at once. So with that being said, that's why I bring Black Watch into the fold. And they also have their own stories as well that I've been working on. Mizraim has his own book. Ragamuff, I just finished his graphic novel not long ago. It's ready for print. Queen Nubia, she's got her first standalone book by itself. I did maybe 2 years ago, working on another one with that. So they're all going to have their standalone books. And I have other characters outside of them that I'm putting in the works. Then my nephew is bringing a character along now. He's getting into the comics as well. So this character is going to be out within the next year or two. Can't wait on that. That's going to be out in this world. And I'm doing crossovers, of course, with those that want to do a crossover with me. Hopefully they don't feel that my character is too hardcore for them, but some of them are willing to, do something with it. And I like to pitch a hand at it, make sure they're not, misguiding the character or misguiding what he's all about.
Right.
So there are a lot of irons in the fire when it comes to my characters, but I have a nice 27 character universe, actually.
Nice. So when you say a collaboration, what that collaboration consist of? Are y'all both, you say cross promoting?
What we call crossovers, basically when someone else is doing a book and they want your character to be included in their book some type of way. They want to find a way to add him into the book, meaning have him destroy the evil guy or have him bring up the people around him, whatever. It's like a cross promotion as well as their characters being in your book and yours being in theirs.
Now, do you take that, or they do the whole thing and then ask for your collaboration or ask for your?
They'll ask permission to add the character in there, in their book, and then me myself, I like to see who it is first, because I don't just like to just say, hey, yeah, you can put my character in your book, because it may be some trash, so I don't do that. But most of the people that add my character into their books, they're legit individuals, and if they need some insight on the character, because everybody's not fully abreast of themselves or whatever, knowledge of self, I should say. So therefore, I bring the information to them that they need. If they know it already and they're already there, then I just touch on something here and there. So we collaborate on that aspect when it comes to my character. I don't just give him out and say you can pimp him the way you want to or whatever. No, it doesn't work like that.
Okay, all right, that's cool. I also want to say that Yumy was scheduled to be here. Due to some technical difficulties, he wasn't able to make it. This would actually steal this whole this episode. Weekend. If you want to be on there, you can go to my Facebook page. Back on my Facebook page, the time, the date, the requirements, uh, all that good stuff on my Facebook page. Uh, so he was the reason why uh, this episode was created.
You know, I don't know if you know that you're breaking up on that end.
Oh, okay.
He was saying was just breaking up.
Is it better now?
Oh, it's a lot better.
Okay. So shout outs to Ekbach. Again, you can go to my Facebook page to get all the information about this event this weekend. And I could not have this discussion without having the creator, the founder, the reason why I do what I do from that perspective, Andre Batts. Again, any new projects, bro?
I have 2 new dreadlock books that I just did. They'll be at Ekbach with you. I have, like I said, Ragamuff story. It needs to go to print. That's the latest one. I have another dreadlock book coming after. Once you I'm smiling and laughing because once you get that last one, you'll be like, man, I got to get the next one. It's called The Immortal Rebirth. It's out cold. The information is in there, and it's just on another level. But that one there will be going to print within the next month or 2. So right now you got the latest books, which is the Spirits of Geb and I think Serpent's Core. Those are 2 that are out right now, the latest books. And like I say, Immortal Rebirth will be coming within the next couple of months of Dreadlocks. Black Watch right now, I'm working on the colors right now, and hopefully I should have that done within the next 3 months, whatever, as far as the colors and the dialogue, and actually printed by then, the number 4 for Black Watch. Jihad AD, the story is done. As far as the black and whites, it's going to be full color. That's going to take a minute, so we're looking at about 3 months for that one as well. And I do have another Dreadlocks as well, a standalone book that's going to be coming out. It's going to be a black and white book that I haven't done. I haven't done a black and white in a long time. This is just straight black and white. I'm just so impressed with it, so I left it black and white. So I'm working on the dialogue with that right now. It's going to be cold as well. I'm just, the future, just has a lot. My future is my present, so I'm living in my future every day. So with that being said, I'm always bringing something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we just wanted some details. Put some teasers out there so we can know what to expect and what to look forward to. Every time I read that like book, I'm always ready for the next one. So that's enough with that. Where can people find you?
Well, they can find me at urbanstylecomics.com. Once again, that's urbanstylecomics.com. Or you can find me on Facebook, Urban Style Comics, as well as Andre Batts. You can find me under the Motor City Black Age of Comics as well, because I do put an event together, Motor City Black Age of Comics. And that's it.
All right. Last but not least, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy. Well, I'm living in my legacy right now. So that being said, the future or whatever, when I'm not around, that legacy is just going to be big. I just want it to be big, bigger than life itself. Most artists, you don't really know about them until after they pass away.
Right.
But
right.
Like I said, I'm living my legacy right now. So that being said, people need to know about me right now. That's my legacy.
Dope. This was not by design.
No, it wasn't.
That we have like minds, and that's just how it works out. You know what I mean? So
caught me off guard with that one.
So that just shows that we're bonding on multiple levels.
Correct.
I love you, brother. I appreciate you so much. to the conclusion of this episode. Thank you for joining us on this global movement towards self-discovery and empowerment, which equals true liberation and freedom. Any closing remarks?
Once again, I want everybody to go out and support all Black comics, support the Black content, because we're out here, we're doing it, we're trying to make it happen. And trust me, you will enjoy what you're reading. Trust me, it'll take you somewhere where we need to be. Get into that Black fantasy, get into that Black science fiction, Black superheroes. Support. That's all we're asking for. Dreadlocks #1, obviously.
Absolutely. If you have any show topics, ideas, or resources to assist on this mission, please email me at fayru1973@yahoo.com. If you found value in this presentation, please give and or continue to support. No matter the amount, it's all tax deductible. So it's on the ticker on the bottom. BMa'at Inc. on Cash App. Thank you for all the supporters and sponsors. We are solely funded by you, by your generosity, by your contributions. We're grateful, and we thank you again. If you like this program, there's tons of the programs on this platform, and they can also use your support. Cash at @money_knowledge born a lot. And thank you again in advance. And remember, be Ma'at and become a master of life. Until next Monday, 7 p.m. Peace and infinite blessings to you and your family. Again, brother, thank you so much for this. We are smarter because of this exchange. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.